The following podcast contains alcohol-enhanced conversations about alcohol, as well as the potential for the discussion about topics of dubious, disturbing, possibly offensive, but usually hilarious interest. The opinions stated herein are solely of the persons making them, and any endorsement of these opinions by any other party is not implied. Foul language is likely, but intolerant viewpoints are not. Listener intoxication is advised. Konnichiwa and yokoso to episode 26 of the Whiskey Tangent Podcast. I'm Scott.
And I am Ed.
And if my opening words were any indication of the topic for this evening's festivities, then like that vaguely racist ode to masturbation by the 80s one-hit wonder band The Vapors, we're turning Japanese.
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
And on this journey of whiskey self-pleasure to the Far East, we've invited the expertise of our friend, master mixologist, and bartender extraordinaire, Anders.
Genki desu ka?
Shit.
Oh, in my face.
I thought I was clever by doing hello and welcome in Japanese, but what did you just say?
I asked how you guys were doing.
Oh, well, we're doing just fine.
Yeah.
So, with Anders' help, Ed and I will be parsing the flavor profiles of two more or less entry-level expressions of Japanese whiskey, exploring the surprisingly long history of the distilleries that produce them, discussing how Japan literally saved the bourbon industry from the brink of collapse, and finally, chowing down on some random, bizarrely flavored Japanese snack foods. But first, Ed's going to get his lawnmower started by telling us which two Japanese whiskeys we're just engorged and tingling to try here tonight.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Scott. I guess thanks, Scott.
You'll thank me later.
So, Anders actually provided both of these, and we thank him so much.
Thank you so much.
We were talking to ones to do it, and I was talking about one I had tried, and he was like, yeah, like this is your first Japanese episode, and you're trying to bring like a Whistle Pig 12-year to the party, and you haven't even done like a Buffalo Trace yet, so why don't we like walk before we run,
right.
And because you're not going to want to go backwards, and or maybe you are. And
so, domo arigato.
Ansan. Hi. So both of these are delicious whiskeys from what I understand. I've never tried them, but we're going to start off with a Suntory Toki from the famous of the Suntory Beam Distillery and a Nikka Coffey Malt whiskey. Both of these are from Japan. And we have some snacks here that we've ordered straight from Japan. We also, for dinner tonight, before we got on air, we had a spectacular array of sushi.
That was so good.
Spicy tuna, a little spicy salmon, shrimp tempura roll. So it's delicious. So we're going to start off with a snack, right? Is that what we're going to do, Scott?
Yeah, I guess so. I have a whole bowl here. I got these off of Amazon. Less than $20 for like 36 snacks.
Right.
These are children's snacks. They're very colorfully labeled.
Well, they're children's snacks as combos and goldfish are children's snacks. Adults eat them too, I'm sure.
Actually, you know what? Here's a group of 5 of these. So you guys choose one of these 5.
All right.
These are called umaibo.
Oh, okay.
And they are puffed corn. And I have the flavors of all but one of them.
All right, I'm going to take the blue one, I think.
I'll take red.
I can tell mine's not expired till August 1st. Besides that, I have no idea what this is.
It's mostly in Japanese.
Oh, this is so fun.
Oh my God.
This takes me back to
Which one did you
to
take?
high school. I think it's apple.
Is it?
But it almost deceptively looks like it could be pizza flavored.
Oh, is it the one with the boy on it? Because that's the one that I didn't know. So definitely open that and taste that one.
What's mine? Because mine's got like a vinegary Andy Cap pub fry. Almost like a salt and vinegar potato chip flavor?
Yeah, so Ed, the one that you have is tonkatsu sauce, which is a salty sour sauce that they use on tonkatsu, which is a pork cutlet. What you have, Anders, I couldn't find on the internet. What does it taste like?
It's apple. It's definitely apple.
Is it?
It's got a little bit more of a sourness to it, but it's got the consistency of like a puffy Cheeto.
Right.
But more of the flavor profile of Apple Jacks, like the cereal.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I have mentai, which is pollock roe.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's basically caviar flavored. So I'm going to taste it.
Mentai.
It is fishy, but it's also sweet. That's actually not bad at all. It was so much better than I thought it was going to be. While we have these snacks, Ed is pouring some Toki.
Just getting ready.
Here, pour me some Toki.
Oh, yeah.
We promised Anders that he wouldn't have to pour, but now he's pouring.
I've poured so many drinks.
Well, he's in the middle, though. We gave him
true.
a place of honor. So.
Yeah.
To be fair, I haven't poured many drinks over the past 2 months. So
That's also true, right?
my pours are probably off.
Yeah, he's actually missing the glasses. It's going all over the counter. He's so out of practice.
It's like an airplane has a drinking problem. He's got a pouring problem.
So, Suntory whiskey. The founder, Shinjiro Tori, was born in 1879, and he ends up living all the way to 1962. So he had a pretty nice run. He lived to be 83. Pretty average for Japanese, I guess.
They live a long time.
Oh, yeah. Especially in Okinawa, it's a blue zone.
Right. So he stopped school at 13. He just entered into an apprenticeship for a pharmaceutical company in Osaka, and they happened to carry Western liquors. And he kind of like got into it, and he got into the art of mixing them, and then developed a discriminating palate and a nose. Not a lot of people had a discriminating nose for Western spirits in Japan back then, so it gave him a kind of like a niche. And so in the year 1899, he went independent, rented a modest house, and he founded a company in Osaka where he made a sweet wine. And he really wanted to create an original Japanese whiskey, uniquely made from Japanese nature and by Japanese people. But he had to get money first. So the wine started to sell good. He got a little bit of capital. And then from 1918 to 1923, he kind of invested his family fortune and pursued his dream of building Japan's first whiskey distillery, which he did. The Yamazaki Distillery was Japan's first. And between 1929 and 1937, it starts to produce the first Japanese-made whiskey, which was simply Suntory White Label and was not received very well. And it failed due to its imitation of smoky Scottish whiskeys. I think in the Japanese market, it was just too much, too fast, like jumping into like PD smoky Scotch. As you know, if I was Japanese in 1931, I'd be like, fuck this. I don't want to drink this.
You don't have to be back then. You don't like it now.
Right. I wouldn't like it now. But pride drove him on. And then he put out a second whiskey in a square bottle, Suntory Kakubin, which basically went on to become the heart and soul of Japanese whiskey and the country's #1 seller. Things went along pretty much as they were until he passed away and his son took over. Kaiser Sally inherited his father's quest to push the boundaries of what a Japanese whiskey could be. In 1972, he opened up another distillery on the calm shores of the Chita Peninsula. And then on 73, he built the Hakushu Distillery to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Suntory. And then things kind of got real around the 80s. 84 Suntory single malt whiskey, the Yamazaki 12-year, 18-year, and 25-year.
Oh.
In 89, Suntory put out the Hibiki, comes in the Harmony, the 17-year and the 21-year. So finally it brings us to 2016. Third generation master blender Shingo Tori continued the pursuit of his family legacy, and he produces the very approachable and plentiful Toki, which, from my understanding, is the opposite of Blanton's, is that it's produced in Japan for the North American market.
Right.
So it's got a very clear gold color. It's one of the lightest colored and yellowest. It's really very yellow.
It's like it's like Bushmills.
Yeah, very good analogy. This is striking to me like a slightly higher proof Irish whiskey. I think it comes in at 86?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really excited to taste this because I have not had many Japanese whiskeys. Ed, I don't think you have either.
No. So the nose, you're looking for some green apple and honey.
Okay.
Green apple comes right off.
Oh, yeah. It's like a green spot.
Very
level.
green spot.
Yeah.
I was going to say that.
It has a very nice nose.
It also says basil on the nose, too, just to throw it out there. Basil, green apple, and honey. The palate, they say a little citrus, green grapes, peppermint, and thyme.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh. This is a delicious whiskey.
Green grapes, peppermint, and thyme.
If you told me this was an Irish whiskey, I would be completely convinced.
Me too.
Some Japanese whiskeys, from what I understand, can be very Scotch-like. This is very Irish whiskey-like.
Very much.
I think it comes because it's a blend.
If I remember, I think it's primarily whiskey from the Hakushu Distillery, and there are like little bits of Yamazaki as well.
Yeah.
This is surprising to me.
Yeah.
I did not think that this was going to smell or taste like this at all.
It's a delicious whiskey. And for price point of what, about 40?
Yeah.
I mean, you could drink this all goddamn day.
It's so good, right?
You really could. It's so light and airy and fruity, and there's nothing harsh about it.
I like it a lot. I don't know what the next one's going to hold, but for my first exposure to Japanese whiskey on the podcast, I am very pleased with a very reasonably priced point whiskey.
I'm so glad you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, the Toki is delicious, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more because I want to keep drinking it. So,
Yeah.
I think let's get another snack while we keep talking.
Oh,
about it.
yeah. Get a little more snacks.
Yeah, pass it down.
きっと約束だよいつかまた同じ笑顔で
Let me finish my little apple.
I'm going to open this one because this is the one we couldn't really figure out what it was. So I'm dying to open it. But there's candy, chocolates, savory snacks. There's even a cereal.
I just took the big one. One looks like a giant carrot.
Okay.
I'm actually going to get one of these grape ones.
Grape gummies?
gummy candy.
Yeah. Okay, so this one tasted like ketchup and mustard corn puffs, right?
It's so bizarrely true.
Sweet and salty, but like with a little bit of vinegar.
Yeah, it's almost cereal-like, but there's that savory element to it.
These are good.
They're really good.
I put the carrot thing back.
Oh, you couldn't get the carrot open?
I can't open.
These,
I'm taking the milk and coffee tasting one.
So I got into Japanese whiskey when I worked at Hop Sing.
Right.
Hop Sing is in Chinatown in Philly. And ironically, there's not a very large Japanese population in Chinatown and Philly. It's mostly Chinese, Korean, and Vietnamese. But there are still a lot of Japanese places like sushi bars and, ramen shops and izakayas, which are like dive bars, but not really. They're like little places where you can get like some small bites to eat, some like food, dumplings and tempura and very quick and easy food to cook.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
pot shops or whatever they're called.
yeah. And then, from what I understand in Japan, like the salaryman, like the company man kind of culture, a lot of them go out after work and drink profusely. And they work a lot and they've earned it. So there's this region I want to go to in Tokyo called Golden Gai, which is like a whole neighborhood of bars that are about as big as your bar. It's not.
Yeah.
But there's like 50 of them.
Wow.
And they're like on top of each other.
Oh, man.
I would like to go to Japan. And
Yeah,
go to
I totally-
every bar in Golden Gai.
I absolutely want to go to Tokyo. It's one of the places on my bucket list.
We'll all go together and record a podcast
that would-
there.
Oh, yeah.
That would be awesome.
Wait till they invite us.
So the things in that carrot, Ed, I was finally able to open it. It's like a puffed sweetened cereal, almost like sugar pops.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Here, wait, you taste this one. Tell me what that one tastes like.
Oh, it tastes like super sugar crisp. Yeah,
With the
absolutely.
bear, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly like
It tastes like Golden Crisp.
It's so funny because on the package, that's exactly what it looked like. But it said on the package, it said milk and coffee. There was the only two English words on it.
Right.
And I'm like, that looks like super sugar crisp. And that's exactly what it tastes like.
it actually is.
I don't taste any coffee whatsoever.
So I will say that the finish to this whiskey is subtly sweet, spicy finish with a hint of vanilla oak, white pepper, and ginger.
Ooh, yeah, ginger. This citrusy, spicy kind of finish to it.
Yeah.
This is enough like Green Spot that for $25 less a bottle, I'll be drinking a hell of a lot more of this than Green Spot.
Yeah, it hits all the same notes that
Yeah.
Green Spot Irish
A
does.
lot of same notes.
Wow.
It's also, I feel like it has a much longer finish.
It does because
Oh,
it
you're
does
right.
have a little bit more of a scotchy finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's the only place where I can say I get a Scotch note is on the finish.
Yes.
And, which is what they call the sweet and spicy combo finish, with a little white pepper and ginger.
Right.
I get all the sweet finish, but there is that little at the end goes Scotch. You know what I mean? Just at the very end, like, hey, it was sweet, Irish whiskey and Scotch.
Yeah, it's taunting you, Ed. Ed, you're drinking a Scotch.
No, but,
Ha ha.
but
Ha
yeah,
ha.
but I'm
Ha ha.
I'm better now,
Ha ha.
right? Like I drink,
Ha
I Glenmorangie.
Ha ha.
Glenmorangie,
Oh, Nelson.
right? I did a Monkey Shoulder. I've enjoyed them. I bought them on my own.
You've come a long way, Virginia Slims.
We've converted you.
Stranahan's American single malt.
Welcome to the dark side.
But
This is all Anders' fault. When
absolutely.
he knew when he bought us that Lagavulin 8-year that we were gonna
I
you were
know.
gonna. I didn't do shit to
we were
drag
gonna
me.
fall into it. Well, but
Drag me shit.
you did pick it in one of the contests.
Well,
You did.
It was a better whiskey.
Well, there you go.
And Suntory, they have some diversification. They own a couple other beverage products. I think they have some wine and some soda. They have a Pepsi bottling venture in Japan. They own Subway Japan. They own the Suntory Pepsi Company Vietnam Beverage Company.
Holy
Cool.
In a joint venture with Pepsi. So I'm sure that makes them a couple dollars. So they're doing all right. That's probably where they got that Jim Beam money that they came up with.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we
Right.
got all this Pepsi money laying around. What should we buy? Let's buy Jim Beam, like America's oldest distillery.
Yes. So when was that? When did they purchase Jim Beam?
Oh, wow.
Like 20
Had I known you were going to stump me with that. Okay, hold on.
2014.
One minute. January 2014, Suntory announced an agreement to buy the largest U.S. bourbon producer, Beam Incorporated, for $16 billion. Scott and I, we almost outbid him. We were right there.
Yeah, we were 15.9 billion.
Short. Yep. So,
Sure.
so
15.9 billion short is still $100 million. Can I have some money, please?
I know. We were
Tip more, please.
We were-
Bars have been closed for 3 months.
15.9999 short.
Okay.
That's like $1,000.
That's understandable.
if Scott and I had to, we could probably pull 10 G's together if it was really important.
If we really wanted to.
We really, really wanted to. So whatever that is, minus 16 billion, that's what we were short.
You do the math. We're drinking and eating Japanese snacks. We
That's
don't care
right.
about math.
That's right. I'm eating basically Japanese golden crisps or whatever.
All right, you want to do one more snack and we'll
One
take
more
a
snack.
break and
Okay,
come back
good.
with the Nikka?
きっと約束だよいつかまた同じ笑顔で
Yeah, give me that. Give me something small. Give me a small cracker thing or something. Yeah, like.
Small cracker thing.
So what I have here is a rice cracker.
Oh, was that the little soy sauce
Yeah,
bowl?
Yeah, this has a soy sauce built into it, so I want to try that. Really good, isn't it?
That is good. I don't really taste the soy sauce.
I mean, you do because or else it'd just be rice. It's that saltiness.
It's also a little sweet too.
Actually, I want one of these onion corn puff things.
Yeah, open it up.
So mine says cabbage taro, which has no cabbage or taro in it. I saw on the internet. It's corn puffs with okonomiyaki sauce.
Okonomiyaki.
Yeah.
So that's like a Japanese fish pizza. Those things are super fuck upable.
Okay. So that's what this corn puff tastes like, apparently.
Well, let's pass it
There's
around.
the sauce.
Oh, this is good. This tastes like the other thing that it was like ketchup and mustard a little bit.
Oh my god, it's like a Japanese Funyun.
Yeah.
Oh, that one is?
Yeah, but not as strong as our Funyuns.
Let me try that one.
And
So what surprised me so far with all the snacks that we've tried is I've liked them all. I was concerned that I wouldn't like any of them because there's like fish sauces.
They're very eatable. You can definitely see it, especially if I was drinking beer. A lot of these would be like
Oh.
everything.
Yeah.
this is a panda-shaped melon cookie.
Oh, I wanted to try that.
Ooh,
It's really good.
wow.
You get the melon flavor like really aggressively, and it's weird having it with like a cookie flavor.
Bro, I've never had a cookie like that in my life.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so strange.
Try it with the Toki. It's amazing.
Well, I don't have enough Toki. Here, pour me a little
More,
Toki.
more Toki.
Man, that is a good cookie.
I'm used to having the cookies like tarts where you have like the fruit on top of it, but never baked into the cookie.
Yeah.
I'm used to having everything from Japan taste like fish.
And it doesn't.
No.
Even the ones that taste like fish are good.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we're going to take a break.
Take a break.
We have to clean up.
So we have throwing open snacks. We're going to throw half of them away because we don't need to eat all
We've
these.
got Japanese characters all over the place.
And then we're going to come back and try what I think is going to be a completely different experience for us.
I think it might
The
also
Nikka
be.
Coffey Malt Whiskey. All right, be right back. So we're back now. We just got distracted just plowing through Japanese snacks and just literally raving about how we were surprised by how much we enjoyed Toki. So now we're going to go to kind of a kissing cousin of the Suntory Toki, and Scott's going to tell us what we're going to drink next.
Yeah, so this is the Nikka Coffey Malt whiskey. Now, even though it says malt in the name, it is not a malt whiskey. It's a grain whiskey.
What?
And here's why. In order for it to be a malt whiskey, it would have to be made in a pot still. And like the name Coffey, Coffey, it is made in a coffee still.
Oh.
So it cannot be a malt whiskey. So it's a grain whiskey. Its proof is 90, 45%.
Wow, that's impressive.
ABV.
Yeah, good.
Its mash bill is 100% barley, and there is no age statement. So if you're wondering what the difference is between a coffee still and a pot still, the coffee still was patented in 1830 by an Irishman named Aeneas Coffey. Yeah.
Right.
The coffee still is a continuous distillation apparatus. It's 2 columns. That's why they call it a column still. But he patented the first version of it. And basically, the coffee still is like having a pot still, a bunch of them stacked on top of each other.
Right.
One of the detractors of the pot still is that you have to clean it after every one because it contains all of the stuff.
All the impurities.
All the impurities,
you're...
The way the coffee still works is that a lot of the impurities that happens in a distillation process are gassed off
I see
in a
what you're saying.
column still,
Okay.
whereas
All
they're
right.
retained in the pot still.
I understand.
Yeah. But one of the advantages of the pot still is that it retains a lot of the flavors that people say that the continuous still will weed out because you're basically distilling it over and over and over and over and over again. So a lot of people do not make 100% malted barley whiskey with a coffee still. So that's why this is unique.
Okay.
All right. So that's just the difference between a coffee still and a pot still.
Interesting.
So the impurities that collect over time, in some whiskeys, not all, they will give the whiskey a green apple texture to them.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So we're tasting unclean spirit?
No, there's
Are
some
you guys
great.
still drinking your Toki?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, no, we're not cutting ahead.
You know, we didn't cut ahead of line.
I'm not a fucking monster.
Random belligerents. Wow. Okay, so here's the Nikka history, and then we will try it. At the turn of the 20th century, a young Japanese man had a single ambition to do what nobody else had done before. Make authentic whiskey on Japanese soil, just like the guy who started Suntory, Ed mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
His name was Masataka Takatsuru, and he would become not only the founder of Nikka Distilleries, but also the undisputed father of Japanese whiskey.
What? What about my guy?
Well, I don't know.
He's like the weird uncle.
He's the weird uncle. Born into a sake brewing family in Hiroshima in 1894, Masataka would eventually study brewing technology at a vocational high school in Osaka while working part-time for Setsu Shuzo, a company with whiskey ambitions of their own. In 1918, they sent Masataka to Scotland to learn the secrets of whiskey making. There he enrolled at the University of Glasgow, where he took chemistry classes and over the course of 2 years apprenticed at 3 different Scotch distilleries, learning directly at the hands of masters of the craft. In 1920, Masataka returned to Japan with his Scottish wife Rita. That was a scandal, I bet.
Not bad.
1920.
1920, yeah. Only to discover that the Setsu Shuzo company who had financed his training in the first place had abandoned its plan to produce whiskey at all as a result of economic recessions that occurred following World War I. All was not lost, however, because another company, Kotobukiya, which would eventually become Suntory, was looking to get in the whiskey distilling business, and so it was that Masataka, who was really the only Japanese person with an intimate knowledge of how whiskey was actually made, was quickly hired and in 1923 oversaw the construction of the Yamazaki distillery that Ed had mentioned, which ended up producing the very first Japanese whiskeys.
Correct.
So Masataka had a 10-year contract, and once that was up, he went independent and wanted to create a whiskey that fit his personal ideas. In 1934, he created his own company that actually started out making various products from apples under the name Dai Nippon Kaju, meaning the Great Japanese Juice Company. But this was just so that he could make money while building a distillery of his own in the city of Yoichi in the far northern prefecture of Hokkaido. Despite its remote location, Masataka had always considered Yoichi to be the perfect site for creating whiskey for the single reason that its climate, which was cool and crisp with just the right levels of humidity, was so similar to Scotland's. So, in 1936, the first pot still ever built in Japan, designed by Masataka himself, was installed, and in 1940, finally yielded its first batch of whiskey.
Interesting.
The brand name of this new whiskey was Nikka, an abbreviation of the company's current name, Nippon Kaju. Nikka.
Yeah.
Which apparently Masataka liked so well, he later used it to name the entire company. Upon his death in 1979, Masataka's son Takeshi took over and expanded the business significantly. Today, now part of the Asahi Group, the company owns 8 distilleries, one of which is actually in Scotland, offers at least a dozen different whiskey expressions, and is the second largest whiskey producer in Japan.
Interesting. It really is an interesting story. So did him and Shinjiro Tori stay friendly with each other?
You know, I'm not really sure, but he worked with them for 10 years.
I mean, there's only a couple people making whiskey. There's enough room for everybody, right?
Right. But much like what whiskey distilling in this country and in Scotland, where it's very fraternal. Everyone's very friendly with each other. There's competition, but it's friendly competition. Yeah. And I have a feeling that this was probably the same thing. So the tasting notes for this, we're supposed to smell butterscotch, vanilla, malty sweetness, with light bits of caramel, buttered pastry, fruit, and spice.
I get all that. Caramel, butter, I'm definitely like I'm smelling a warm pastry.
Yeah.
Really
so buttery.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
Remarkable.
On the palate, malt, fruits, nut, vanilla, butterscotch, light notes of spice, minerals, and toasted grain.
I have to tell you, this is completely different than the Toki.
Yeah.
And it is spectacular.
Oh my God, this is so good.
So fucking different and so delicious. Wow. I mean, 2 tremendous winners here.
Not bad, right?
Bad.
Doesn't suck.
I feel like having both of them, they kind of fill 2 different taste profiles in Japanese whiskey.
They're both also very dessert-like in different ways.
They are.
Yes.
Yeah, the Toki is definitely lighter. And as we remarked earlier, it is definitely lighter in color than the Nikka, but not by a whole lot.
Not as much as I thought, but more than you think right now, Rich. Sorry. I'm sorry.
This is unnecessary.
They're completely unnecessary. It's been a while.
Has it?
This is the first time most of us are like socializing since the apocalypse began. We've made it through so many things. Murder hornets and tornadoes and protests and plague.
I heard the next thing that was coming was Korean fire-breathing squirrels.
Are they like the flying squirrels? I hope so.
Fire-breathing.
I actually heard it was Korean spider monkey. Wait, sniper monkeys. Damn it.
Oh,
fuck that.
sniper.
Let me do it again.
All right,
you know what I heard it was?
What?
Do you?
What?
Korean sniper monkeys.
Could you pick a different country? Mine was Korean squirrels.
Yeah.
Pick a different
You know
country.
what I heard?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you?
Ed, Cambodian.
Oh, God.
Cambodian is a good one.
Cambodian sniper. Cambodian sniper monkeys.
Cambodian sniper. Fuck.
That's amazing.
Cambodian sniper monkeys. Yep.
Cambodian sniper monkeys.
Oh, man.
They should arrive any day now.
They'll mate with the fire-breathing Korean squirrels, and oh God, I don't even know what that is.
Giant sniper squirrel monkey.
All right, so let's do one more snack, and then I want to talk about how Japan saved the bourbon
I think
industry.
you should do that while we eat snacks. Pass them around.
きっと約束だよいつかまた同じ笑顔で
I picked a banana-shaped marshmallow treat with chocolate in the middle of it. This tastes weird.
Yeah.
It tastes like very fake banana.
It's like a circus peanut?
No, it's softer than that. It's actually marshmallows.
I'm pretty sure I just did a Jell-O shot. It's delicious.
Shocking. Mine is rice crackers with soy sauce.
Oh, is it made of rice?
Why do I always get the ones that you can't open?
Oh, Jesus.
There it is. That tastes like something I've had in this country. I don't know where or what.
I had something just like this.
Yeah, the green one, but it's still different, I think.
Oh, no, it was the one with the drums on it.
Oh, you didn't leave us any of that, so I don't know.
No, I ate all those. Sorry.
It's like if you took a corn puff and like Cracker Jack and created a baby.
Huh. Oh, these are good. I like these a lot.
Yeah, they're really good.
Oh, fascinating. This almost looks like mochi, and it's like almost like a marshmallow on the outside.
Yeah. Oh, you got the strawberry marshmallow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there was a little strawberry man on top that was smiling at me.
There's
so I had to
there's
eat
a
him.
chocolate one too in there.
Yeah.
Let me
There's like
see
a
the
little bit of
chocolate one.
strawberry cream on the inside.
Yeah, this guy. There's a chocolate one.
Yeah. When I worked in Chinatown, we used to get little snacks from like the market across the street. They would play like 90s kind of Mandarin pop music. Like think 90s era post Genesis Phil Collins, but it's in Mandarin. It was really cool. And one of my favorite Japanese like kind of treats that we would get every now and then, they're like these logs, and it was like a graham cracker log shape that was wrapped in chocolate. So it almost looked like the outside versus the inside of a tree stump. And they were salted on top. And like that combination of like the salt and the graham cracker and like the dark chocolate around it was almost like you took the best parts of a Pocky and then just made them like little bite-sized guys.
Oh, Pockies. I should have got Pockies.
Oh man, Pockies are elite.
All right. I think we satisfied our Japanese
we
snack.
did a nice job.
Yeah, we did a good job here. All right. So this is an interesting article that I came upon, just written this February, called How Japan Created the Modern American Bourbon Market by Aaron Goldfarb at VinePair. So, I do what I do. I take his thing and embellish it, and I add my own stuff to it. And this is How Japan Saved Bourbon. The year was 1975. And American bourbon was in trouble. The delicious brown spirit that had hit its peak just 5 years earlier, selling 80 million cases in 1970, was tanking. Baby boomers, our parents, bitches, were coming of drinking age and rejecting the stuffy whiskey that their parents drank in favor of beer, wine, and clear spirits like vodka and tequila. Enter one William Urako, head of Shenley International's export division, who had an idea. If young Americans were rebelling against their elders' drinking preferences, then perhaps there was a way to get young folks in the international market to do the same. At the time, the overseas whiskey market was all about the Scotch, and bourbon was almost completely unknown and quite a departure in taste, as everybody here knows. But Urako saw the disadvantages as an opportunity, so he began taking reconnaissance trips to the Far East in 1972, focusing his efforts on Japan's post-college consumers, whose tastes were more attuned to Western products and ideas like Coca-Cola and Levi's than their parents were, opening them up to the idea of drinking something different. However, it can be difficult for foreigners to make headway in Japanese business world, so Urako offered a distribution partnership with Suntory.
Right.
The problem? Brown-Forman had also just offered Suntory the same deal. So, Suntory came back to them with a proposal that both Shenley and Brown-Forman provide Suntory with exclusive Japanese marketing rights to 3 bourbon brands each. Now, it cannot be overstated how crazy of an idea this is. It would be like if Ford and General Motors gave Toyota the rights to market their 3 top-selling cars in Japan.
Right.
And it was a major gamble for everybody involved. But neither Shenley nor Brown-Forman had much to lose because they felt like if they didn't take the deal, the bourbon industry itself might not even exist by the end of the 80s. So Shenley offered up Ancient Age, J.W. Dant, and I.W. Harper. Brown-Forman handed over Early Times, Old Forester, and Jack Daniels.
Wow.
And And Suntory came up with an ambitious plan. They wanted to flood the entire country with a critical mass of bourbon and a product for every taste and price level, with each brand having its own identity and market segment. They began setting up bourbon bars all over Japan that played country music and served American food like hamburgers and chili, and the only liquor they poured were those 6 American brands. Also, instead of buying single glasses, customers were encouraged to purchase whole bottles and store them in cabinets along the bars.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, how to sound familiar, Anders?
Somebody should do something like that.
That's what he makes us do at the bar. And it quickly became a youthful challenge to see who could drink the most bottles. Ed.
Like some sort of 100 whiskey club or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. That would never happen. That's weird.
Yeah.
Eventually, other old bourbon brands started getting new life in Japan as well. Four Roses, for instance, which Seagram's had bastardized into a bottom shelf blended whiskey cut with neutral grain spirits and added flavorings, was almost dead in America in the 90s. But in Japan, Four Roses was a legitimate straight bourbon whiskey packaged in sleek cognac-style bottles embossed with silver roses, and it was a huge hit. Also, Blanton's, like we talked about on our Quick Taste that we released just a few weeks ago, was specifically created for this new and seemingly insatiable Japanese bourbon market. Furthermore, Japanese consumers were used to the older is better double-digit age statements for Scotch whiskey, and bourbon producers, who had a vast backlog of older whiskeys just sitting around and considered to be too oaky and overaged junk in America, realized they could sell these same spirits to Japan at a premium. Julian Van Winkle III, scion of the Pappy dynasty, initially offered a 12-year bottling and kept his nascent company afloat in the mid-80s by providing Japan with special expressions designed specifically for Japanese tastes. Wild Turkey founder Jimmy Russell visited Japan every year during the 80s, bringing with him special bottlings aged upwards of 13 years, and Heaven Hill bottled a 23-year Evan Williams expression. And so the general industry consensus about bourbon changed. Not only could bourbon once again be sold as a specially crafted spirit, it could also be marketed at a higher price points, and people stopped thinking that it needed to be young. But the pendulum swings both ways, and it was only a matter of time that a newer generation of American master distillers made it their mission to repeat the Japanese success of bourbon, but in America. By the early 2000s, Four Roses started letting American consumers finally taste the high-quality bourbon that Japan had been enjoying for decades. The Seagram's company collapsed and started selling off its assets, which enabled Kirin to buy Four Roses outright and move their offices from Tokyo to Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. This preceded a cascade of mergers and acquisitions of bourbon brands and distillers like Beam Suntory. Unfortunately, bourbon's rebirth in America caused many brands to pull back their products from the Japanese market, causing Japan's taste for bourbon to dwindle. But I think now you can see why, without Japanese frenzied 30-year love affair with American bourbon, there might not be any bourbon in America to enjoy today.
Awesome. Great
That's
story.
so fucking cool.
I did not know that.
I wish I could have been around for that era.
I was around. I was drinking beer.
Right. Me too.
Well, I was drinking Jim Beam and Jack Daniels, but I wasn't really understanding what was going on overseas.
No.
And I have to tell you, I don't want to have to pick which of these I like better. Because they're really distinctly different, and they're both spectacular.
If I had to pick, I think I'm going to take the Nikka. It's a little more complex. It's a little darker. It's a little higher proof. But that's not to say that the Toki is any slouch.
Yeah. To me, yeah.
Anders, what do you think?
Throwback to what we did.
Yeah,
March Madness.
This is March Madness. This is the end of the Japanese bracket.
Right.
And we have to decide who comes out of this into the final pour.
Oh, man. Are we going to do like 8 brackets after next year?
It might happen.
Maybe.
It's going to be 32,
I know.
32 whiskeys next year.
Well, that's a funny story about that is that Scott wanted 8 whiskeys in each bracket, and I was like literally up all night walking around my room trying like, I can't do that. I was like, I can't drink 16 whiskeys around. I can't drink that many whiskeys.
My original idea was for the mini bottles.
Yeah, but think about that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. Right.
It's
And
over a bottle.
you made me see reason.
I was like, I literally like called him like on a work day in the morning, like, hey man, I know you're working, but I've been thinking about this. We can't drink that much at one time. I can't. Not every weekend for the next month.
Not the way you drink it. I think, he's making decisions.
I choose Nikka.
Oh, you choose Nikka.
Yeah. We all do.
Is that
It's-
unanimous? Yeah.
Unanimous
it's so
choice.
close,
Yeah.
so it's so it's just because it's more complex. It is.
Yeah, it's like choosing dessert at the end. A nice dinner.
Yeah.
The server comes out and they're like, all right, would you like the apple kugel or would you like this peanut butter caramel chocolate fudge sinful explosion extravaganza? It's like, well, I was on a diet this morning, so I should say apple kugel.
Right. Do you want this light little airy almond cookie or do you want death by chocolate?
Anyway,
Always choose death by chocolate.
Always choose death by chocolate.
well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in for our first Japanese whiskey episode.
This was amazing.
I want to thank Anders for not only being here, but also choosing the 2 whiskeys for us to highlight. And here's the best part, bringing the 2 whiskeys with him.
Yes.
I mean, if you want to talk about the best guests we've ever had in the podcast.
I bought my way onto this podcast.
He literally arrived. He brought his knowledge. He told us which whiskeys would be the best for us to compare. And then, wait, I'll bring the 2 bottles with me. So,
Also, sorry, Gabe.
Gabe has brought bottles. That's not fair. He
has.
opened up our eyes to Old Ezra, which we just used last episode.
He brought the Tealings,
He brought the Tealings.
which immediately became one of your favorite whiskeys
Yes.
of
Gabe
all
has
time.
great taste.
Does
Stop being
have
a jerk
great-
to him.
Yeah, that's right, Ed.
Yes,
Stop.
that's right.
I saw Gabe today, actually. He came over to get Siobhan's cat tower.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's so not cool.
What?
I don't know. Just somehow we're talking about him being a great whiskey guy, picking whiskey, and like, oh yeah, he came to get the cat tower.
Well, his daughter wants a cat.
Yeah,
So
because it's like that's the most cunty thing I could ever picture him doing right now. Like,
Getting a cat tower?
I don't know, it's just something weird about like, hey man, yeah, like I just roped a steer, drank some whiskey, and then I went and got a cat tower for my daughter. Like, what the fuck? Cat tower. Like, I mean, just say when you edit this, just be like, hey, I saw Gabe today. He stopped by. That's it. Just leave it at that.
No.
Don't throw
He was
cat
getting
tower.
a cat tower. He's a
cat
respectable man, and you better respect that.
I don't-
He has a daughter who wants a fucking cat head, okay?
Listen, if he wants to listen.
this has gone off the rails. Yeah.
Anyway, so you saw Gabe today. That must have been nice.
Yeah.
Yes, it really was.
How's he doing?
He's doing fine.
Getting a cat, I hear.
He is getting a cat.
The only pussy he's had for a while.
Oh,
Damn.
shit.
I just tried to be nice.
He's tried.
Me too. Okay. Goddamn pandemic.
Okay, so here we go. Here's the final statement. Japanese snacks, amazing. Japanese whiskey,
Amazing.
also amazing.
Yeah.
Japanese anime, I can take it or leave it.
Oh, what? Well, it depends on what version.
It depends on what it is.
Yeah.
Depends on how much clothes they're wearing.
Star Blazers was fucking
Damn.
awesome. Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, Star Blazer's good.
Star Blazer's good.
Naked anime also good.
So it's all good then.
Discerning listeners will realize a naked anime joke I made like 45 minutes ago.
Oh.
Keep that in there, Scott.
Easter egg. Or whatever Japanese people call Easter eggs.
They don't. They don't have any. There's
they
no
don't have-
translation.
Tamago no ista.
Oh, very nice.
I guess a little work-related things.
Oh,
Starting
okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
please.
June
Yeah.
15th,
Yeah.
the local eatery and pub will be serving some iteration of outdoor seating. We will be serving batched cocktails along with a limited menu outdoors. We'll also be having cocktails to go, which we're currently serving the local, along with some phenomenal beer selections from some local breweries. And come say hello. I'm there like every day of the week that ends in Y. I
And
miss
he's
you.
lonely.
Yeah, I miss the lounge.
I know.
I miss
Oh, you
lounges.
do.
I miss you guys.
Dude, we miss it so much. We do.
Doug and Phil and Doug and Jeremy, Aaliyah. I will do everything in my power to help you win that bet that you made. Marty, Rachel, thank you for reaching out to me. I miss you guys so much. So many people.
Oh,
This is awful.
Yeah, it's
I
been such
know.
a.
Yeah.
It's been a terrible time.
Yeah, I'm really worried about having to serve people drinks after they've been making their own drinks for the past 12 weeks. I'm sorry, you want a quadruple? That's not a thing.
Yeah.
at home I did like 9 fingers.
It's like, I'm a bartender. How do you drink as much as I do now? What
Yeah.
the fuck happening?
You-
Oh, you're your
yeah,
own
you-
bartender?
Right, they're their own bartenders.
It
now.
used to be
That's
4
why.
fingers. Now it's 4 arm.
Forearm.
So anyway, the point we made tonight is get some Japanese snacks or some American snacks.
Yes.
Zoom with a couple friends. Both go out, get the same bottle of Suntory or Nikka, and talk about, hey, Scott, Anders, and Ed were right. It's delicious. We miss you all. Be safe. Thank you so much for listening to the Whiskey Tangent Podcast. I'm Ed.
I'm Scott.
I'm Anders.
And until next time, be well.
Kampai.
Cheers, everyone.
If you enjoyed this podcast episode, be sure to check out our next episode, which is way better than this one.
Oh, yeah.
Also, follow and like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Whiskey Tangent. And follow us on Twitter at Whiskey Tangent. You can follow me personally at That Whiskey Guy. And follow Scott at Giant Cup of Awesome, spelled AWSUM, just to be annoying.
Hey.
You can email us any questions, comments, or love at whiskeytangent@gmail.com. And of course, you can find us always at our podcast website, whiskeytangent.podbean.com.